Welcome back. So in the previous session, we learned about Python first class functions. So using that concept, we'll be learning about decorators in Python. So let's go started. So what's a decorator? A decorator is a function that takes a function and returns it by adding some functionality. Okay. So let's define a function. And as we learned about the first class functions in Python, so this function will take a function as an argument, and then inside this we'll have another function. Okay. And here let me print I got decorated. And after this, what I'll do, I will call the function which we get here. I'll execute this function and then I'll return the inner. Okay, so if you see, we have this make pretty function. So this function takes a function as an argument, and then we have another function inside this make pretty function. So basically we have another function, we have defined another function inner. So inside this inner, we have this function. Okay, and from this make pretty, so now if I say, let me define an ordinary function. Okay, if you can see, we define two functions here. One is make pretty, one is ordinary, correct? So in here, if you see in make pretty, this function takes function as an argument and it has another function inside it. So inside this function, this inner, I'm printing this I got decorated to the console and I'm executing or I'm calling this function, right? So when I call this function, it will return me this function. And when I execute this function, basically this part of the function will get executed. So now let's say decorated func is equal to make pretty, and here I'll pass the ordinary function. So if I run this code, oh sorry, I need to execute this function. So you see, what I did in line number 12 was I used this make pretty function. I called make pretty function and I passed this ordinary function as an argument. As you remember, we studied about this in the first class function here. Here we had this grid function. This grid function takes a whisper and then inside here it's calling this function, right? So it is the same concept. I have this make pretty function and inside this make pretty function I'm passing ordinary function as an argument. So it goes as an argument here, and here what it does is this function returns me a function. Okay, so this is like same as we did earlier, like this. Okay, but since I need this argument, okay, so I'm placing it inside that function. So here, when I call this function, I'll return this inner function and I'll pass this function here. Okay, so that means if I print decorated func, you'll see this is a function object. You see, so this is a function object. So when I call this make pretty function, it gives me a function object, and in line number 15, I'm calling this function. So this is basically a simple decorator. Let's say I have any type of ordinary function. Let's say I have another ordinary 2, and here what I can say now is I can pass ordinary 2, right? Ordinary 1, sorry. You see, I'm ordinary 1. So if I say here, so let me say, okay, so what's the benefit of this decorator? The benefit of this decorator is, let's say I want to print this learn with Pratap in every function which I execute in my Python project. So now wherever I want this learn with Pratap, what I would say is I will use this make pretty decorator function. Okay, so you can see, like in this case, we are passing the ordinary function as an argument to the make pretty, like we are passing this as an argument, and the make pretty function returns the inner function, and it is now assigned to the decorated function here. So when we finally call this decorated function, the inner function gets executed. Correct? If you can see, we have this I got decorated first, and then we get I am ordinary. Okay. So in short, a decorator function takes a function and do some decoration, a bit of like it changes its functionality a bit, and then it returns a function again, right? That means, let's say I want to add 2 to each of the function who calls that function. Then in that case, I will set simple decorator by adding 2 into it and so on. So we'll learn more about decorator in the upcoming sessions. See you there.